Welcome back to the Surround Sound Podcast. I'm your host, All Hunter Jr., the truth and not a rumor. This show is sponsored by 901 Restoration Kings. They don't ignore, they restore. They make clarity easy. Make sure you holler at them at 901-949-9135. And you can go ahead and book at 901 Restoration Kings. That's Kings with an S at gmail.com. On today's show, and I'm going to file a formal complaint with Facebook after this. On today's show, we'll have Tennessee volunteer running back coach Jerry Mack. We're going to talk a little ball, man. UT is coming off a good season, especially what is happened, during the post Lane Kiffin era. UT is doing very well. Glad for the state school to be doing as such. Man, we're going to get into a lot of things. NIL, transfer portal, just everything that is surrounding college sports and college athletics and football in general. Let's see if we can bring on Coach Mack. Mack, there you are. How do things sound right now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sounds perfect.
Hey, you know what's crazy about electronics and life, period? I guess is you turn it off and turn it back on and then it works. I mean, everything's perfect.
Everything works. That's how life supposed to be. Restart, reset button.
Man, and everything's good. First of all, Coach Mack, we appreciate you so much for taking some time out, man. We definitely understand that the springtime is not just, going through the motions. It's a time where there's player development, player movement happening. And we just want to ask, what is Rocky Top like right now coming off a pretty good season in going to the Music City Bowl?
A lot of good stuff going on right now. Obviously, like you talked about earlier, got a lot of young guys on the roster right now. Guys are supposed to be trying to figure out how to go to the prom and how to go through graduation. They decide to graduate a little early and enroll in school. So they're with us right now. Plus a couple of transfers that we got in junior college-wise. So they're already enrolled, rocking and rolling, going to school. I already had spring break, so midterms is kind of gone through. So we're in the midst of spring ball right now. A lot of construction going on in the building right now, over $30-40 million of upgrades going on in the building. So that's always good for recruiting more than anything else.
Wow.
Just to make their life more comfortable, the student-athlete life more comfortable because they deserve it. So, you got those types of things going on. So we just kind of in the midst right now, about a third of the way through with spring football. We'll finish up probably mid-April more than anything else. And then coaches back on the road recruiting, players trying to finish up the semester, getting ready for finals and things like that. And we reset and do it all over again in the summer. And before you know it, August will be here.
Real talk. And that's when fall camp comes in.
Yes, sir.
So many things to talk about, to be quite honest. Being at the state school, a school as such and with as prestigious as the University of Tennessee. When it comes to you mentioned it. You said JUCO transfer. Like when we were coming up, that's the only real transfer that we really knew of. I mean, of course, some guys would transfer if they weren't getting the playing time or they thought they could start somewhere else. But you have this thing now called the transfer portal. Explain to our viewers, what exactly is the transfer portal?
So let's say a young person, for whatever the reason, it could be a host of reasons. It's not always just lack of playing time or family issues. It could be coaching staff changes. I mean, it is the college version of free agency in the NFL. So when you think of free agency in the NFL, after a guy's contract is up, he gets an opportunity to re-sign with a school or re-sign with a team, or he can go to another team. And really, that's kind of what the transfer portal kind of is. Obviously, a little bit different in college since these young people are 18, 19-year-olds, and they're not literally getting paid to play college football. But the reality of it is they can find themselves another home if they're not happy with their situation. We all make mistakes. Sometimes guys choose schools for the wrong reasons, or certain reasons change why they're at their school, and they're looking for a newer, fresher opportunity more than anything else. So that's one thing about the transfer portal. If you look at it from a standpoint of It's just like professional sports, but it's free agency for college. Like that's kind of what it is more than anything, except without the pay.
Okay, so tell me this. I know back in the day you had to sit out a year, especially if you're going from D1 to D1 college. What is it? Football subdivision now, FBS. Is it the same thing? Like if you can recruit from University of Memphis, and that's been to University of Memphis, and then comes to University of Tennessee, do they have to sit out a year?
Well, it's so many different rules. It depends on how many times you decide to transfer. You get one time to make that decision, and you're immediately eligible. Now, in the SEC, we have certain rules as well. Like, so you can't transfer within the SEC if you didn't declare to transfer by a certain date. So we no longer can get any other players from the SEC conference. We can get players from other conferences, but not the SEC because the date is gone by. The date is expired. So like every conference may have their own. I don't know what it is in the Big 12 or the Big 10. I don't really know, but I know we have our own specific rules in this conference. Also, too, when you look at going across from moving up a level, like you were just referring to FCS or Division II program, or even Group of Five to Power Five, you get one time, right? You get one time, so you better make, you get a second time to make a decision. You better make the right decision because you only got one time to transfer. Now, let's say you end up graduating from that school. So you transfer and you graduate from that school. Now you're back on the market, right? Like now you can become a free agent again if you choose to, because you have a graduate degree, or you can have really an undergrad degree. And so you can go somewhere that offers a certain type of graduate degree if you want it. So they're all kind of little nuances of transfer more than anything else.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. As we reset, once again, this is the Surround Sound Podcast, sponsored by 901 Restoration Kings. Make sure you hit them up at 901-949-9135. And if you already know that your car needs to get beamed up like beamed up like Scotty, shout out to Star Trekkies. If you already know it needs to get beamed up, you can go ahead and go to 901 Restoration Kings. That's Kings with an S at gmail.com. And you can go ahead and get your booking down. Also, if you want to go and see any of their work, go and holla at them at 901 Restoration Kings. That's Kings with an S on Facebook and on Instagram. Also, you can go and see the website as well at 901restorationkings.com. Coach Matt, you said something earlier that sparked a thought. And you said the student athlete getting well taken care of. Another subtle nuance of this thing that is college athletics right now is NIL. How has NIL affected? And I don't want you to necessarily speak specifically to UT or anything like that, but just how have you seen it affect college recruiting, college athletics in general?
Well, I'll speak on athletics in general. You know what I'm saying? In the state of Tennessee, we have very specific rules that really don't allow us to talk about that a whole lot. But just from the standpoint of just how it is going to change the game totally, right? Like, now a student athlete can get paid off his name, image, and likeness. Whereas years ago, it was just scholarships, or it was just scholarship and your Pell Grant money, or whatever the case may be. Now it's all kind of ways that you can create some.
Pell Grant, boy. Pell Grant brought us through.
No question. It's all kind of way you can create money and revenues for yourself. Because these student athletes, they have all kind of different skill sets. Some are great, obviously, like on the internet and TikToks and Instagram. And like, there's just some of you are extremely talented. Some of you got these guys that design their own clothes and kind of create their own brand. And it's just the modern day, entrepreneurship, right? Like you're trying to create your brand and be marketable. And you should, you should get compensated for those things. So it changes the mindset of choosing a university and choosing a program now. When you think about, what opportunities exist for me outside of just performing on the field. And, it's good and bad in a way. It's good that we have student athletes thinking about their future and long term. as far as what they're going to be able to do if they have success, whether they go professional football or not, because you can create your brand to a standpoint where it creates opportunities for you after playing sports that you may get a great job opportunity because of a brand you created while playing sports. And it doesn't have to be in the professional sport arena. It can be in any kind of arena. So I think that is good that it forces the student athlete to, learn how to manage their money. Financial literacy is something that I think all schools are getting involved in and making sure they understand whatever funds they get, without, just in school. You got to understand too, somebody called Mr. Sam, the tax man, he coming as well, because now you're creating real salary, real money. So, you just got to be in tune to that and how that benefits you and how you're going to have to pay some of those funds back to the government. In a negative way, sometimes it makes student athletes look at places for the wrong things. Just like everything else, you're choosing school based off XYZ, and that should never be the choice. It still has to boil down to the reality of it. Great education, university, the coaches, the place, because nothing is ever going to change as far as the people. The people in the building are always going to be most important. They create the experience. Finances, whatever, they don't create the experience. You can have all the money in the world and be surrounded by really, really bad people, and you might as well not even have it because it's not going to be a great experience for you. So that to me, I'm old school, right? So that's never going to change. It's always going to be about the people.
That's dope. That's super dope. Once again, as we reset, we have running back coach from your University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee Volunteers, Coach Jerry Mack. I mean, it's so many things and so many ways that we can at least navigate right here in this space that we're in. Let's go to entertainment. It's funny. You are the R&B, the most R&B-est guy I've ever met. Big shouts out to Matasha for taking care of this interview. And I'm just looking at some of your favorite R&B artists. Big fans of her, Chris Brown. Those are like contemporary artists right now. Who are some of the old school artists that you grew up loving and digging? Who are they?
So like I'm more of a 90s baby. So like obviously people like I can go all the way from the beginning of the 90s all the way to the end of the 90s, right? So like I can talk about people like you can say like a Black Street type artist group, Jodeci. Obviously, Boys to Men was one of the best to ever exist. Seen them in concert so many times. MJB, Mary J. Like like she's still a legend, right?
No doubt.
She's still doing her thing. God, man, so many people. Like a lot of people don't remember people like Maya, people like that. Obviously, rest in peace, Aaliyah. You know what I'm saying? She was awesome as well. God, it's so many that were really good back in those days. That
Okay. You said 3 names, and we're gonna play a little game right now. You got to start one, you got to bench one, and you got to cut one.
Start, bench, cut. Okay.
Start, bench, cut. Aaliyah, Mary J. Blige, and Maya.
Okay, Aaliyah, Mary J. Blige, and Maya.
Don't get nostalgic.
Okay, MJB is the starter.
My God.
That is always. And you said Aaliyah and Maya?
Aaliyah and Maya. You got to bench one, you got to cut one.
I am going to bench Aaliyah, and I have to cut Maya. But
here you go.
But she's going to be on speed dial.
All right. She on the practice squad.
Yeah, she on the practice squad. She on scout team. She can come work out with the boys. She can let them. She can open up for MJB.
I can dig it, man. With Coach Jerry Mack, running back coach for the University of Tennessee Volunteers, man. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, comment. The question for the day, entertainment-wise, is: do you think The Chris Rock, Will Smith situation was staged. I was saying earlier that if it was, it makes a lot of sense if it was. You got people that act and take punches and fall and do all that stuff for a living. That is what they do. So it would make a lot of sense. Matt, you spoke about doing things after playing football. And with a school like UT, guys that come to that school, they thinking about going to the next level. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. What should UT be looking like in this coming April's NFL draft?
Actually, it's funny you said that. We have all 32 teams in the NFL here right now. We have Pro Day tomorrow. So we let some guys from some other schools come in. I think they just got done with Pro Day. Actually, I'm looking outside. I think they just got done with Pro Day for some of the smaller schools. So they'll be our Pro Day. University of Tennessee Pro Day will be actually tomorrow afternoon. So I think we had four or five guys compete in the NFL Combine a few weeks ago. So all those guys are projected right now to potentially get drafted. So I think it'll be you're talking about at least a minimum of 4 to get drafted, we feel like. And then it should be a few more guys get some free agent opportunities, I think, some high-level free agent opportunities. So we could have at least half a dozen of 7 to 8 guys probably playing in the National Football League off this year's roster.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You got a couple of up-and-coming leagues. I know April 16th will mark the beginning of the the USFL coming back. So we'll definitely hope, wish, and pray for some former UT alumni to be in some of those newer leagues, and of course the XFL league is coming up this year as well. So we'll be hoping to see UT alumni in a couple of different places. As we wind down, the fall, like you said, man, is a couple of months away. We got August and fall camp. I'm talking about just on the other side of the summer. Who are some running backs? Who are some people that we can look to be? What are some names that we need to be looking at this coming fall?
I think one of the things I'm most proud of, here at University of Tennessee is we have a lot of guys, obviously I'm from Memphis. So we got a lot of guys from Memphis that's going to help us make a run at this SEC championship that's going to play a lot for us this year. A couple of guys like from my hometown, you got Jabari Small, which is a running back guy I personally coach and deal with every day from Briarcrest. And he got his teammate from high school as well, Omari Thomas. He's here starting on the defensive line for us. Those guys grew up together, and they got a pretty cool story as far as them growing up together. Then you also got Tamarian McDonald. He plays safety for us. Once again, he's from the Haven. He's doing a heck of a job. And we got Bryson. Bryson Eason. He's going to really be a name in the next couple of years that you really need to look out for. He's going to be a D tackle for us from Whitehaven as well. Those two guys represent my school, my city, my area of the town extremely well. And then just a couple of guys, Hendon Hooker is our quarterback. The quarterback always receives so much attention. He's going to be, I feel like he should be a candidate for the Heisman this year. I think he's having a heck of a spring, and he did some incredible things last year. So he's going to be a guy that people really need to look out for. Cedric Tillman is a wide receiver that we have. He's going to be probably on the watch list for the Biletnikoff Award as one of the best receivers in the nation. So we're really excited about, what he's going to bring to the table. Jerome Carvin, once again, another Memphis guy, starting up front for us. He's going to make a lot of money playing football for a long time after this year. He's from Cordova. So, we got a lot of Memphis flavor on this football team right now that's going to be helping us, and they're going to get a lot of playing time in some starting roles and some reserve roles that's going to really help us. So those are just a couple of the names that you probably need to look out for. I'm sorry, Jeremy Banks, right? Jeremy Banks, probably one of the best linebackers in the SEC from Cordova as well. Had over 20 tackles in our last game of the season in the bowl game. So it's just a lot of talent on this team right now.
That's awesome, man. And word on the street, we got a top 50 or was it a top 25 incoming quarterback? Ian Nueva.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
I'm sorry.
I don't know anything about that. So
okay,
we're not allowed to comment
moving on
some things.
Hey, I understand. Very much understood. To everyone that is in podcast land, make sure you go ahead and download, better yet, tomorrow morning, Wednesday, at 9 a.m., you'll go ahead and you can download this podcast that you will be able to hear. We got a slew more of information. Big shouts out to everybody that's checking in right now. Make sure you like, share, comment. Let us know if you think that the Chris Rock and Will Smith situation was staged or not staged. Personally, I think I'm not gonna go all the way and say I feel like it's staged, but if it was staged, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense if it does. Anyway, big shouts out to Coach Jerry Mack, man. Once again, man, we definitely appreciate you for hanging out for a while. We're gonna get you on the line so we can go ahead and get ripping and running with this show. And hey, man, once again, thanks, bro. We appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
Appreciate you, Ruben.
Tell Coach Hypo he got to bring us a national championship, baby.
We tried every day, I promise.
I already know, man. I already know.